Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gearbusters Podcast. This is your host, Matt Gold here. I wanted to get this episode out a lot sooner than it's coming out. Unfortunately, this episode is literally coming out the day that it releases. It's a little bit earlier in the day for you members who are subscribed to our Patreon. So I just want to apologize that I wasn't able to get this out as fast as I normally do. If you are a member of our Patreon, you know that members get early access to the podcasts. They get to see it before it hits on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock like usual. Kind of a little backstory behind that. If you saw, I had talked about how I was away for a couple weeks here with my job. And unfortunately, I did a recording of this podcast while I was away. And I wasn't thrilled with how it sounded, right? I'm in a hotel. I'm not in my normal studio like you see behind me if you're watching from, the Patreon channel. And it didn't have the right feel, right? I'm sitting there, I'm in a hotel room, I've got my headset on, I literally brought my mic and all of that equipment with me. And it just didn't have that right feel, guys. So I got back from my trip on Sunday, spent the day recovering here, and here we are. The day before, it's 7 o'clock at night here, and I'm doing this podcast, and we're gonna get this thing done in one day for you guys, just so that you guys can hear this, because this podcast is going to be a little bit different. Right. Most of the other podcasts on the Gearbusters here is about motorsports. We've talked about various aspects of things, some of which have been things that you guys have suggested. Some of it have been things that I've just kind of come up with here. And this was season 1, right? And I think season 1 has been very good, right? But there's always room for improvement, right? So as the summer starts here, we're getting ready to kick off with the event season. I've got Southern Ohio Forest Rally to go to with Avro. We've also got Susquehanna Trail Performance Rally as well to go to. I'm going to try and make it to Overmountain. I have some other engagements the day of travel to get down there. So hopefully I can get down there in enough time, and we'll see what happens from there. But basically, there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is going to be the season finale for the Gearbusters podcast here for season 1. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to use the podcast more for like the off season, so that I can kind of fill you guys in on things that I've noticed throughout the year, kind of different events. We'll talk to different people at events. We'll have other drivers and co-drivers come onto the show. I've been reaching out on a couple different social media channels, trying to get some more people interested in becoming guests on the show. But we'd had that really cool episode with Makisa and Steven here earlier in the year, which was a phenomenal episode. And I think I definitely need to have them back on the show again at a later time. So like I said, this is the season finale. So this one might run a little bit longer than usual. Like I said, I try to keep most of the episodes around 40 minutes. Some of them, obviously, we've crested the hour 20, hour 30 mark already, which is a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But this one, if you've been paying attention to stuff on the channel, this one's kind of more special to me because I have a really big, audacious goal here. And I kind of want to dive into it a little bit more with you guys and share just exactly what I'm on about. And you saw some of the stuff here before I got sent away with work, that we're talking about building a racetrack, a motorsports complex, if you will. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. The biggest reason is that there's a big plot of land, which to some eyes, it's not a big plot of land. It's 57-ish acres, I believe it was. And it's right here in a little town called Denver, Pennsylvania, right off of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So it's in a really good location, and I'll get into that in a little bit more. But the space has been a little empty, and I've wanted to do something with it for a long time. I had a previous business that would be perfect to go here, and the idea with that business is to actually create a racetrack, to test it, right? So my idea before, which was an idea that I had been doing for a little bit, was a do-it-yourself shop. And I actually had people coming in. They would actually use the shop as a place to work on their own stuff. Most of the time, it was guys doing oil changes and brake jobs and things like that. But I had it kind of set up so that, other motorheads could come in, use the shop as that space, maybe to get their car ready for the race weekend. So I wanted to have a track, obviously, that was attached to something like this. And so that's kind of where this vision has come from. So, if we paint the picture a little bit more, imagine it with a road course, a rallycross circuit, but even a big space for autocross, right? Like a big open parking lot that they can create multiple trackings or multiple layouts, however you want to call it, for autocross. I also wanted to have a space for motocross, dirt bikes, ATVs, those kind of things, right? But as I thought about it a little bit more, I wanted to make sure that people understood that it wasn't just about racing. It wasn't just a racetrack, right? Because a lot of times that gets people all worked up and they get a little freaked out about things. I wanted it to be about community as well. There's a lot of different things in this area that we could benefit from. We could benefit from more increase in business into the local economy in this area. And a racetrack would kind of do that because it would help spur in new restaurants. It would help spur in other businesses in the area that could benefit from having the racetrack nearby. There's a couple hotels in the area for the antique stuff here in a town called Adamstown, which is right up the road. There's big antique venue areas here and things like that. So this would also increase traffic for those kind of things as well. With the community side, I wanted to be able to host community events and also make the streets a little bit safer. There is a little bit of a issue with people driving fast on surface streets. Well, why not give them a place to do that where it's a little bit safer, right? Because it's not just about racing cars. It's about safety, economy, boosting stuff in the area, but giving people that place. And right now there's a little bit of a gap between that passion and the opportunity. So people want to do some of these things, but they don't really have anywhere to go. So they end up doing it on the streets. And that's why this idea was being developed. Now, the cool thing about it is that I kind of have already started talking to the land developer that owns the property. And this is kind of going to go into, I guess you could call it segment two. There's going to be roughly, I think I have 7 segments lined up here for this tonight. So we'll kind of go through them somewhat rapid fire, but I want to make sure that we get all of the details down, right? I want to make sure that you guys really understand just what this means to me and what it can mean for not only Dropping Gear Industries for content, but also for the motorsports community. It's not just another racetrack, and it's not just some place that's going to fall by the wayside. At least that's the way I see it. Again, segment 2, we're going to talk about some scary numbers. And I'm going to just say that right off the bat. There's going to be some scary numbers because people know what a racetrack costs. People know that racetracks cost upwards of, $100 million, right? Which sounds pretty scary when you think about it. But at the end of the day, is it really that scary? Because when you have a big group of people who really want to see something like this happen, money doesn't really become a thing. And I say that because when you look at community powered events, community powered projects, those things take off quickly. Think about your dog parks, your skate parks in the 90s and the early 2000s, BMX parks. All of these things are community driven things, community driven ideas, and they take off. And they take off so well that usually what ends up happening is local businesses say, "Hey, I like that idea. I want to put some money towards that. I want my name on the side of the wall, or I want to put my name on the plaque, or hey, I'll put the sign plaque out, and then at the bottom it'll be, donated by said company." And those are good reasons, right? Because the local businesses support the idea, they see the benefit behind it, but the community sees it. The community rallies together. We rally together for our schools and our children all the time. But as adults, do we really rally together for things that benefit us too? Not as much as we should. So that's why this is a really big thing to me. And that's why, if you know about how I operate with Drop a Gear, how we operate the Patreon page, right? The idea is that you guys, the community, can be the part and be the driving factor behind these things, right? So it's more than just a little bit of money. It's more than just a donation or a monthly subscription, right? It's about being that community driven aspect and showing the investors and the businesses and even your local governments, this is what we want, guys. We support this and we want it to happen. And we want it to happen right here in our own backyard. So again, some scary numbers here, right? 250,000. That's not a number of dollars. That's a number of people, right? 250,000 supporters, right? And if they put in just as little as $5, we can fund this project in as little as 9 months. But more so, if we had that 250,000 people and they all said, you know what, I really like this idea. I'll kick just $20 once. We could build this park within 6 months, right? We would have all of the money together to quickly get the investors involved, right? Because honestly, if you think about it, if you do the math, $20, 250,000 people, that's, $20 million roughly. So guess what? If you put $20 million on the table from a community funded group of people, before you even get to that number, the investors are going to see that. And you know why they're going to see that? Because it's real people who want to see this thing happen. And they're not just raising money, they're trying to buy in on having it show up, right? It's not just a cool idea anymore either, right? It's not 2 or 3 people or a small group of people saying, yeah, let's do this, right? No, it's a large group of people who are saying, this is awesome, let's do it. It's a revolution and it has traction, right? But when you look at it the way an investor looks at it, they're going to see that there's going to be traffic coming to the facility because of the number of supporters involved already. There's that authenticity behind the story, but they also can see that they're going to have long-term support for something like this if they kick in, right? And investors love that. A community-backed idea that carries weight, right? It already matters to the people. The investors are going to want to jump in on that too. So now, why did I choose the location? Well, honestly, the location matters. And this location has a couple key things. It's nestled nicely in between Lancaster, Reading, Harrisburg, and Philly, right? 30, 40 minutes outside of both Lancaster and Reading, about an hour outside of Harrisburg and Philly. And honestly, it's only 2 hours away from Baltimore. So it's even big for bigger cities like that. There is room to grow, more so basically just adding to what we can do at the facility, because I plan on using a majority of this facility for all of the different motorsports tracks, as well as community centers, community places. I want to build a park, a playground. There's going to be walking trails, things like that. Basically, I want to draw in the community as well. It also has major road access. We're right up against the turnpike. There's 222, and all of these things are nice central hubs. It makes it getting in and out of the area a breeze. You're on the highway in no time. Big trucks can come in and out without having to impede in local traffic, all of those different things. And honestly, the area is primed for this kind of smart growth. There is a lot of different businesses in the area that could use a boost in the revenue. We've lost a couple restaurants in the area, and I would love to see them come back. There's plenty of space on the other side of Colonel Howard Boulevard, which is where this road would run, or next to where this track would be, this complex. And it's prime. It's a prime spot. We could put restaurants. There's the community wants a grocery store in the area. We already have one. So another one could come in there as well. We have some hotels that are in the area. There's motels and all of that stuff as well. There's actually a small little hub of hotels right there because Denver and the Adamstown area already has a high community draw for the antique stuff. So the hotels are already there, but we could usher in a little bit more if we needed to. There's already a talk of a gas station going in potentially on this property, which I would incorporate that into the property as well. We could also put in some spots for restaurants to come in even directly on the complex, which I think would be really cool. Maybe do like a motorsports themed place. Similar if you're familiar with Quaker Steak and Lube, they kind of have that race car, that racing feel, because of Quaker State Oil. But that's why this area is kind of primed for this. Big warehouses have gone in the area, and the community really doesn't want that. So they're looking for other things. And I'm looking at this from the aspect of this piece of property has been sitting vacant for almost 20 years now. I think it was 2007 is when the property was purchased. They're supposed to put in some big box stores, some of the shopping centers and different things like that. And none of it ever came to fruition. and it's been sitting vacant ever since. And I know the developer is ready to go. I know that they're really ready to do these things. And I did talk with the property manager. So honestly, he said, "Hey, if you show up with the money, we'll see about making it happen." So as again, 250,000 people, $20, we could secure that property in no time and get that investor and that land developer working on all of the stuff to make this thing actually happen. So like I said, it's more than just a racetrack. I'm also trying to get the community involvement and make things a little bit better for the area. We all know the headlines. Illegal street racing, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's over here. You've got these stupid takeover things that happen where people are blocking off intersections and doing donuts and doing all of the things that a lot of us in car culture enjoy in a controlled area. And I say controlled area when, you go to Hoonigan had the burn lot years ago, and they have that burnout pit at the SEMA show, and burnout boxes have become a thing at various events, right? But those things are happening in controlled areas, right? There's one car, maybe two, and they already know what's going on. The spectators are kept back, they're behind K walls, things like that to protect them. These takeovers are happening in the streets, guys. People are getting hurt, killed, all that stuff. People who aren't even trying to be involved are getting in it, right? And we don't like that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm sorry. I don't think the takeovers are the way to go, right? We need a place for these things to happen. That's what this motorsports complex can help solve. Enthusiasts are getting penalized for just having a modified car nowadays, and that's also frustrating, right? So the idea really here isn't to have a solution that causes more enforcement, because that's not the solution. We need better access. That's the solution. Drop a Gear Motorsports Complex kind of offers all of that, right? We got affordable track time, let people drive a little bit faster. We can host driver safety programs for new drivers, for teenagers. We can even do, different driving stuff to make adults better drivers, right? Help do defensive driving skills, or even just car control in general, right? I'm seeing a rise in wet weather accidents, snow related accidents, and all of these things. It just seems to me that people just aren't familiar with their cars enough. They're relying too much on all of the safety features, and when things actually go wrong, then things don't go very well, right? So something like this actually allows them to be able to practice, but also get that instruction, and we can make that affordable for people as well. That also keeps the motorsports complex open year round. There's also first responders and veterans groups. Our friends up at American Veteran Racing Organization have already pledged that they would love to put a shop in there for their veteran services through motorsports therapy and other things. And we're ready to host them because, you know what? We support the Avro mission as well. There's also the STEM workshops that you can use for motorsports to teach engineering, physics, teamwork, and things like that. Usually runs through schools and colleges, things like that, which is actually a really cool idea. And I'd love to be able to incorporate some of those things there as well. Because at the end of the day, this facility is not only going to give people a place for motorsports, but it's just going to give people a way to be safer, right? And not necessarily noisier, right? But it's going to give people a way to grow their passions in a constructive way. We talked about noise, right? Noise is a big thing, and it's usually always the number one concern. Now, sometimes it's not always just the noise. Some people just don't want it in their area, whatever it is, right? You say the word racetrack, they get, oh man, it's going to be so loud, right? Well, I'm not ignoring that aspect. In fact, I'm kind of addressing it ahead of time and head on, right? Because when you break down noise, NASCAR is one of the loudest sports out there. Their decibel levels at full throttle are hitting somewhere around 140 to 160 dB. To put things into perspective, if you are near a train track and a Norfolk Southern train, or Pacific Northwest, or whatever train is in your area just happens to go by, when that train horn blasts and you hear it, that's 120 decibels. Just as a rough idea, right? The average slightly modified car going down the track might hit 100 decibels. Average highway background noise, 85 decibels. So when you really put it in perspective, a racetrack isn't really creating a lot of extra noise, but there are ways to mitigate it. We could put natural berms in and sound barriers around the perimeter. Trees actually do a really good job, believe it or not, at dispersing the sound waves. They don't necessarily make it get quieter, but what happens is it breaks up the sound waves. It breaks up the way that it travels, and that helps it dissipate faster. Now, the natural berms and sound barriers also redirect the noise, right? Instead of it directing straight into your house, hit some berms, the sound will actually kind of essentially bounce up and it goes up into the sky, right? So it kind of helps with that as well. The other thing is that we can use the fact that most of this property has some tree lines in it, and I plan to do minimal tree removal. I want to use as much of the space as possible and only have to cut through the trees where I need to, and only remove enough to put the track in and some safety barriers to keep people from hitting the trees. Other things that we can do to control the noise is obviously decibel limits. Decibel limits have been the biggest thing that have saved countless motorsports parks across the country. All your major racetracks have it to a degree, right? But what we're going to do, because I know some people are going to say, well, you can't enforce it all the time, but you can, right? If there's a guy whose car is absolutely so loud that someone's going to complain, that person's going to have to, probably come off the track for a little bit. But we can also schedule events during reasonable hours so that we're not impeding on people's evenings on the weekends or even during the week if we have certain events during the week. We could also have dedicated days where we just don't do any major racing. Maybe we do track maintenance or various other things. The push for electric and hybrid vehicles, and we're starting to see those in the motorsports community as well. Some of those things can be incorporated into other days to help draw the noise down, right? Because tire noise doesn't really get all that far, right? And if the car's not making some, loud racket, then it's not as bad, right? So it helps promote new tech and it helps keep the noise levels down. But at the same time, we're also going to still keep open communication with our neighbors and local leadership, because if they start telling us, hey, you guys are getting a little loud, you're pushing your boundaries, we'll scale things back, do things like that. Open space for the community. Maybe we'll do some vendor markets or even the driving schools, which are going to use your normal everyday cars, not really all that loud. So, like I said, it's already been successful at so many different tracks around the US. We're just taking that information from that playbook and adding our own little twist. So we've talked about how this is going to be for economic growth, but also how we can get government support, right? Because it's not just about gearheads. It's kind of about the dollars and the opportunity. And we also talked about how we're going to fund things like this. But I'm going to dive into that a little bit more because I know that's already a hot topic for some of you listeners out there. And I don't want to just skim over that with that big number that we threw out. But I'll get into that a little bit later. This is where the economic growth comes in, though. Before we even get to figuring out how to fund it, we need to talk about why it matters and why it matters for the area. The area is already primed for a lot of tourism. We have the typical Lancaster County, Amish stuff like that down towards Lancaster. We have the antiques. There's the Ren Fair that's not that far away, but we also just have the open spaces of Lancaster County and Berks County and even, portions of Lebanon County as well. So this can actually help spur local tourism, right? You have an event at the racetrack. You're going to have people coming from all over. You're not going to have people from just the area. You're going to have people coming up from Baltimore. You'll have people coming down from New York, even from out west, maybe towards Pittsburgh or even Ohio. They're going to come out to participate in these events. So we're going to boost our local tourism, because if they're coming out, they're probably going to be out for a couple of days. So we're going to have people visiting the area. We're going to try new things, right? So you're going to get the tourism. You're going to get the boost in the local hotels, right? We've got a True by Hilton, which I'm pretty sure only ever has maybe 15 people in it, but how many rooms are there, right? So that hotel is now going to get a massive boost in their patrons, right? Same thing with the 3 other hotels in the area, but it may even bring in some more. We have a couple restaurants in the area, which unfortunately a warehouse just took out like 3 of them. So we kind of need to get those back, right? Something like this is going to boost that ability and bring in those restaurants, right? Instead of having to drive 15, 20 minutes away to the next town over and boost their economy, we're going to boost the economy that the racetrack is literally right there at. We can put a couple restaurants right there at the complex. We can put them across the street or maybe even up the road a little bit. This is going to help boost the local economy because of those restaurants coming in. The local repair shops are going to also have a benefit as well, right? Trucks are coming in from all over the place, right? Guy's towing in his race car for the weekend, has a breakdown. Well, there's a couple little garages not that far from the racetrack that'll definitely be able to get a boost in the business. There's also a big tractor trailer fleet shop right up there as well, which could handle some of the bigger trucks. So if we get some of those bigger motor carriers coming in and things like that. There's even an RV shop not that far away. So if you got guys that come in, they camp for the weekend, they got an RV problem, they can run up the street, get some parts for their camper, get back on the road in no time. So I see this as a huge development opportunity for the local economy, which, if I'm being honest, I feel that it needs something different in the area to really boost it. It doesn't just need restaurants. It doesn't just need a grocery store. It doesn't just need a gas station. It needs something different. It needs something to drive traffic to the area to make it more of a reason to go there. And that's kind of why I think it's a really good idea. Now, the other thing is, like I said, this economic growth is going to help as well, because with all of the other things that the motorsports complex can offer, it's going to help with that as well. So what I mean by that is I'm going to have this open space for community events. Wouldn't it be cool on a nice summer night to go to a movie in the park, so to speak? But we could put a playground there for the kids to play at, right? And depending on the weekend, not only do they get to see the event, but they get to also burn off that energy with, their mom or dad or their grandparents, or just they go there for the event because they felt like it. On top of that, we can have different things like garage sales, swap meets, car shows, different things like that that also benefit the local community. Maybe the high school needs to do a fund drive. Guess what? Now they have a place to do it, and they could do something a little bit different, right? Could do laps for charity, right? We've been to a couple different events that I thought that was pretty cool, right? You pay a couple bucks, you get to go run around on the track, have a little fun, but you're helping a good cause. All of these things, guys, are what helps grow the economy in the area and also just makes this more than just a racetrack. So that's why I'm actively working right now with pretty much everybody within the local government that will talk to me about this. And I'm also trying to find other businesses in the area, which we're going to start going around and talking to soon as well, to try and get in more information and get those guys really spun up on the idea, because it's going to help them out too. So this brings me to the last segment, which we're going to call, I guess, how you can help, right? Because we need to build this together. This isn't just my dream. This isn't just a couple of us's dream. This is a place for us, you guys in the motorsports community, for the young kids growing up who want to start racing, for somebody who's on the fence about getting into autocross or rallycross, or even a place for their dirt bike. We don't have a lot of those things around here. You got to go up to coal country if you got a dirt bike or an ATV. What if you had a nice little place here where you could learn some basics and have a little fun, right? Expand your skills, because it's a grassroots place, and that's kind of what I want it to be. I want it to be a place for those just getting started and those who just kind of want to maybe hone some skills that they already have, right? I'm not trying to turn this into the next Indianapolis 500 or any of those things, but I definitely want to be able to compete with places like Englishtown or even New Jersey Motorsports Complex, right? We want to just give other avenues and different designs and layouts for people to use, right? And again, this is where you guys come in and help, right? I talked about it before, where we talked about 250,000 people. Lancaster County, where this is going to go, has 750,000 people in it. Obviously, I'm not going to get a third of those people 100% on board with this, but the idea is that between the surrounding counties and everyone who listens to the podcast, right, with all the different people in the area, honestly, 250,000 people is really not that hard to find. It really isn't, guys. So the easiest ways to get this out there, right? Get the word out there, get people involved, get people excited for this, right? Share this podcast with people, repost it, tag us, drop it in group chats. Just start talking about it, guys, because the more you talk about it, the more people see the traction, the more people want to see it happen, right? You can also go to dropofgearindustries.com. You can get more information on there, which I'm going to start putting some of the information there as well. A lot of the information that you'll find is going to be on our Patreon. It'll be on our Facebook, on our social medias, different things like that. So you can also go there, share the posts, share the information, get that information out there. Like I said, guys, you guys spinning this up and getting more people excited about this is absolutely going to drive tons of traffic to us. And it's going to be awesome. If you're a business or a brand or even an investor and you've heard about this podcast and you've heard about this idea, reach out because I definitely want to talk to you about a partnership. And honestly, if you're local to the Denver area, talk to your neighbors, the council, car clubs. Just get this word out, right? Because this is exactly how we start a movement. And when you're ready to kick in some money, consider $5 to start, right? And as it gains traction, as you see more and more people, do it again, right? If everybody just gave $20 once, we could literally purchase the property in less than a month, right? As soon as we hit that 250,000 people, it's not that hard, right? But if you really like the idea, I already know that most people, when they go, oh man, I'll give you $20 for that, they're going to do it. And in 6-7 months, when they don't see it going as fast as they want, they're going to be like, hey, would another $20 help? You bet your ass it would. Guess what? That right there also helps fund the next step, right? We get the land. We can also start building the track immediately. But again, once you start contributing, once the community starts rallying together, that's when the investors are really going to funnel in, right? Because they're going to see that their risk is a lot lower because it has community backers behind it. They're going to see that everybody in the community is ready to go with this idea. And they're going to go, you know what? We're going to help get this along a little bit faster. We'll put in our money to help move things along. But when you talk to your local governments as well, that's the other aspect that we really need to get that word out to, because we want them to realize, hey guys, we want this to happen. We want to see this come into the area. We don't want just this. We want this as well because it's going to benefit everyone as a whole. So again, get the word out, start talking about it, and let's really make something happen, because this is not going to be something that I don't talk about next year. This isn't going to be something that I don't constantly want to talk about with people, because I really want to see more of these things happen. But I'm also ready to help my other motorsports enthusiasts and my community by giving them another place to host events, right? SCCA, NASA, all of those different sanctioned bodies that help with autocross and rallycross programs, and the HDPE or HPDE events, drift events, right? We can have things like that. You have car show season, all these things, right? All these things just make sense to be in one central location that really ties everything together as well as the community. And that's why this matters to me the most. So I really hope that I didn't scare people away with the 250,000 people. But honestly, I did create a Give Butter campaign. So as silly as it sounds, if you go to givebutter.com/let's go racing, you can contribute directly to this project. And all of the funding that goes into that pot, 100% is going directly to this initiative. It's going to go to this complex. It's going to go to us finding the location, because I don't want to tell everybody that time is of the essence. And the faster we do this, the faster it works. But let's be real, the faster we get together and the faster we get people involved in this, the faster this is going to happen. And if we delay, or we I don't know, maybe it work, maybe it won't. The longer you do that, the faster a developer is just going to go in there and do something else with it. And we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that prime space. So I highly encourage you, givebutter.com/let's go racing. Throw in $5 in the pot today. That's it. And you want to know what? because I am doing this, I want everyone to know that 100%, if we can't reach even 10% of our goal in, say, 6 months, does that sound fair? If we can't reach 10% of our goal in 6 months, everyone who's donated to that Give Butter campaign will get their money fully refunded. That money will sit in there as long as I have to, as long as I can leave it in there. But at the end of the day, 100%, 6 months down the road, if we're not 10% of the way there, I'll refund everybody their money. And, we can do it for something else. Or I'll let you guys decide what you do with that money after that. So that's my big audacious goal, guys. I think it's pretty bold. It's probably the boldest thing that I've come up with in a while. Some people would say some of the other things I've done are pretty bold too. But at the end of the day, these are the things that I'm really passionate about, and I really want to see this come together. The other thing that I'm really passionate about, if you guys don't know, is Drop a Gear Industries. So if you haven't really paid much attention to what Drop a Gear Industries is about, the podcast has been kind of talking about various things, and there's always a plug in there for our Patreon page. And I'm just going to take a quick moment to plug Patreon for Drop a Gear Industries. There's going to be a tier coming for the motorsports aspect. If you want to become a member of the Patreon just for that aspect and fund and support the racetrack idea, there's going to be a tier for that. But there's 2 other tiers, and these are the ones that really matter. Drop a Gear Industries is all about motorsports. I'm all about giving back to my community. If you're familiar with anybody in the rally scene, after Ken Block's passing, they created the 43 Institute, which is dedicated to helping others in motorsports and things like that, right? And I love that idea. I also want to do things very similar to that because I draw a lot of inspiration from things that Ken Block did. And one of the biggest things is that I want to be able to give back to the racing community. So through Drop a Gear Industries and its Patreon page, that's how I want to do it. A membership of Patreon is not just a monthly subscription, right? A $5 monthly subscription helps us create more content, helps us create some of that entertaining things that you want to see, right? Some of you know that the big thing that I like about motorsports and car enthusiast culture is some of the early days with Hoonigan and the daily transmissions, going out having fun, making wild, crazy builds, and just enjoying the car culture scene. That's one of the aspects of Drop a Gear Industries as well. And I want to be able to entertain people as well as give back to the motorsports community. Obviously, I've got some racing cars that we're building and some things like that, which are a lot of fun. Some of that money is going to go towards that. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I want to do with Drop a Gear Industries is give back. So if you contribute $20 a month and sign up for our $20 tier or third gear, the third gear tier is going to give a little bit more, and it's going to help spur up all of that funding faster, as well as being able to give back to the motorsports community. At the end of the day, too, it's also going to give you a couple extra perks. Every 3 months that you're a loyal member, I'm going to throw in some cool stuff, and you'll get some various things throughout your time as well. At any level, whether it's our first gear tier at $5 a month or the $20 tier at third gear, all of this stuff is going to give you exclusive access to these podcasts and all of our content before it hits social media, before it hits YouTube, and different things like that. Because, honestly, I haven't even had a chance to get all of the podcasts on YouTube yet, but they are coming out. So, yeah. Anyway, Patreon members get all of that stuff early. They don't have to wait. And it only costs $5. That's it. That's the lowest tier. I really would love to just get rid of all the other tiers completely and grow this enough that $5 a month from everybody is more than enough to sustain everything that Drop a Gear Industries does. Because, like I said, I want to give back to my communities, and this is where it starts. It starts with Patreon. It starts with the community. So if you guys rally together with me on the motorsports complex, I feel like you guys can rally together and help me make a difference within the motorsports community. But honestly, as a community, we would be making a difference because we are doing this. You guys are just using me as the vessel to do so. And I think that's pretty cool. That's kind of my little plug there for Patreon. So again, I hope you guys give it a consideration. If you like the podcast, if you like the stuff that we're doing here, I would really love to be able to give back and do more with this brand. So let's just do it together, guys. Become a part of the Drop a Gear Motorsports family and let's make some cool stuff together, right? Become part of the action. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of things going on as well with other things like AVRO, American Veteran Racing Organization, which you can find a link in the description for them as well, because they're giving back to veterans. And honestly, that's a big thing for me, being a veteran myself. A lot of those programs matter to me on so many different levels. And guess what? This ties into motorsports. So again, I'm really excited about this. This was the season finale of everything that we've kind of talked about. We talked about this idea here with the motorsports complex and how just $5 is all it takes to get people to make a change, get investors involved, and get them ready to go and spur up things. But you want to know what? If that doesn't work out, anybody who donates specifically to the racetrack idea through the Give Butter link, givebutter.com/let's go racing. If we don't get where we want to get within 6 months, all of you are going to get your money back. So I highly encourage you to give that a shot. And if you don't want to do that and you just want to support Drop a Gear and everything that we're doing, I highly encourage you to check out our Patreon page. Head on over there. $5 a month gets you exclusive access. You get to talk directly with me more often, and we can really make some cool stuff together. And I look forward to doing so much of that with everybody. So that's pretty much it. I think season 1 of the Gearbusters podcast has been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to interviewing a ton of different drivers through a bunch of different motorsports over the summer, while we're also going to different events, creating more content for you guys. And when the off season comes and season 2 kicks off, I really hope to make it a lot of fun. So if you guys would like to see more stuff, let me know below. Shoot me a message, comment somewhere on something on what you want to see on the Gearbusters podcast, for season 2. But with that, that's going to wrap it up for our season 1 of the Gearbusters podcast. So we'll catch you in the next season of the Gearbusters podcast. Have a great night, guys.